I am so sick of scrolling online and watching black Americans sit there and advise their people not to support the immigration movement that's going on across the entire United States. What have they done for us? They never supported our protests. Yes, they have. Go watch some old footage. You're going to see people in different shades, different colors, even sizes. It's a beautiful thing. And now I'm not simply going after black Americans because I'm watching Hispanics, Latinos with legal status that simply just betrayed their people, saying, we don't support this. You know what's crazy? Back in those days, black Americans weren't the only ones that were fighting for civil rights, for equality.
And so tonight, we reaffirm that Jew and Gentile, we are one nation under God, that black and white, we are one nation indivisible, that Republican and Democrat, we are all America.
Hello brothers and sisters, I really hope you're all doing fine from wherever you're watching me from now. Some of the white folks are coming out to ask the black community for unity. Now, they are now realizing that the American empire is coming to an end and it is collapsing. It is time for them to ask the black community to join them so that they can fight all the evils that they are seeing in the government they have been electing for years. Now, let's watch this video, then have a really quick discussion at the end of it. Thank you so much.
You had the Puerto Ricans, you had the Chicanos, you had black Americans. And the beautiful thing is that even back in those days, there was unity going on behind closed doors. You had the Chicano movement, the Brown Berets, you had the Puerto Ricans, the Young Lords, you had the Black Panthers, all united. And guess what? Back in those days, you had people like this spreading that same harmful rhetoric. Oh, we shouldn't unite with the Puerto Ricans. Oh, we shouldn't unite with the Chicanos. Yeah, even back in those days, it was happening. If that wasn't the case, those movements would have been a lot larger. But guess what? There was a small group of people that saw the vision, and every time they united, they were successful. And unfortunately, back in those days, it was eventually broken apart when one of the leaders ended up passing away, or they were hit with RICO charges, and eventually they just dispersed. A lot of people don't know this, but back in the day, during Martin Luther King, he understood the vision. He understood, and he motivated the Puerto Ricans to form and fight for their civil rights and equality, and the Chicanos, and they did. They formed their stuff. And guess what? I love this quote, and it says a whole lot. It says, we cannot walk alone. We will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. Martin Luther King. Guess what? These are your neighbors, your friends, and even family. And that type of abandonment is loud. I think all of us felt that type of abandonment throughout our lives at a smaller scale, from friends, betrayal, and so on. You wanted someone to speak up for you, and they didn't. Why would you expect civil rights, equality for your people, but not for everyone else? Doesn't make much sense, does it? See, now we're going backwards. But what they don't want us to do is unite. Because all them streets that you see right now in Los Angeles, New York, and so on, guess what? If we come together, they will be even more full. Every square footage of them streets will be completely covered. And they don't want that. I hate that Hispanic Latinos go against their interests. I call them out all the time, especially with what Donald Trump is doing. And even black Americans, you know that Donald Trump was actually at a military event, and he goes on to say that he's renaming military bases to Confederate generals' names. Do you know what the Confederacy represents? It represents them preserving slavery back in those days. I'm sick and tired of y'all going against your own interests. The people that are speaking and passing on this harmful rhetoric for even the younger people, guess what? Y'all are not even any better than the white supremacy. Who needs the white supremacy when they have you doing the work for them? With that being said, I'm going to leave y'all with that. Like this video, comment.
Hey family, I think I have summed up the relationship between white America and black America in this country. So stick with me and listen. Okay. The white man in this country represents the husband in this analogy. The black enslaved African, thus now matriculating throughout the years to now being African Americans here, is the wife. So you get a husband, representative of the white man, the wife, black people, okay? But before they got married, this husband, this white man, said, you know what, I need a wife. And I'm going to get her in any way possible. Through trickery, lying, deceit, whatever it takes. I want a wife for my own selfish reasons. And so he goes out and he finds this woman who's just minding her own business, enjoying her life. And he comes to her and he tells her, you are going to be my wife. And she's like, no, I'm not. And he's like, oh no, yes you are. He grabs her, puts handcuffs on her, and drags her to his house where there is a person there to do the ceremony and forces that woman to marry him. So now the husband, again, a representative of white America, the wife, representative of the enslaved African who was brought over, was forced. Years have gone by. The marriage, of course, any marriage you don't want to be in is miserable. That wife is miserable. The husband abuses her, hits her, spits on her, mentally abuses her, emotionally abuses her, tells her she ain't shit, she'll never be shit. He doesn't want her to get an education. He just wants her to stay barefoot and pregnant and keep birthing his children. But one day, she has a friend that tells her, no, you have the right to be free from this. You don't have to stay in this marriage. You can get a divorce. So the wife, again, representative of Black America, starts seeking her own education, starts seeking her own independence, starts seeking her own community and friends. And the husband, of course, hates that because now his wife's eyes are open and he's afraid for two things. One, that he will no longer have that wife present for his own selfish gain, to do everything he wants, to be at his beck and call. But two, he's afraid that if she gets knowledge and understanding and wisdom and to know who she really is and her intelligence and her greatness and her brilliance and her beauty, that she will reciprocate the pain, the agony, the devilish behaviors that he did to her. He thinks she will then reciprocate it and do it to him. That, my friend, is an example of how white America has been towards Black Americans. You forced us into a marriage, thus slavery. And then throughout the years, Reconstruction, Jim Crow, civil rights, even on up, you have been abusive. And in that time of abuse, you did not want us to learn, so we had to open our own schools. You did not want us to read, so we had to sneak and read. You did not want us to have financial independence, so you all the government created something called redlining, where certain banks they wouldn't back loans that were lent out to Black people in certain areas. The GI Bill was created to help all veterans and to get homes, but it did not do that for Blacks when it first started. So you have America has abused us and tried to keep us down because God forbid Black people know who they are, bond and work together.
So it's the 4th of July, man, and I'm out here in my apartment complex, man, and, you know, everybody partying, they doing their thing, they doing their July 4th thing. Look, y'all check me out. I posted a video about, us uniting as Black and brown people, man, and I think maybe some people got rubbed raw or something, man. It's crazy because those individuals who hate us, they hate our unity. You know what I'm saying? They don't just hate us, they hate our unity. So if we even talk about unity, the first thing they talk about is the racist people just start popping up, jumping out, talking about, oh, they're going to go break the law and all this other crazy stuff. They don't understand that the numbers are against them. Like all the people who have come for the Black community, man, all of them, every single one of them. I'm saying every single one of them. If they look at their numbers, they'll have a realization that they're wrong. They'll realize that, hey, man, you know what? I'm over here operating off of emotions and feelings and not facts. And I look like a fool. I look like an idiot. I look stupid. I look dumb. And so if folks really want to, jump on here and say what they need to say and feel how they want to feel and do all those other deliberate actions that make them feel, I guess, accepted and loved and all this other stuff, do it. But me calling for the unity of Black people, individuals like myself, my brothers, my sisters, my mother, my father, my uncles, aunts, friends, family, nieces and nephews, cousins, all those who are connected, interconnected with us, to call for that unity and understand that when we stand together, there's power beyond all that crap that y'all talking about. Man, a lot of y'all will hide behind this video. Hide behind this video. And the small group of y'all that does not hide behind the video, y'all won't stand up one-on-one. Y'all won't go head to head. Y'all scared. Y'all scared. Y'all soft. And if it was one-on-one, the measuring stick, the ruler would definitely say that you don't measure up. It'll say you don't measure up. And that's why y'all hate us so bad anyway. That's why y'all in y'all feelings right now anyway. All right? And so, you know, I hate to always jump on here and talk about all this stupid racism stuff simply because, man, I'm talking about the unity of black folks. And what's crazy is white people jump on and be like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Well, what about when white people say white pride? Man, have your white pride. You can have white pride without trying to exterminate other ethnicities. The problem is you don't have white pride. You have hatred for every other ethnicity. You know what I'm saying? So miss me with all that mess. Miss me with all that the ideology that, you know, we got white pride. White pride doesn't mean go attack, hang, kill, and all this other stuff to other people. Hate, be a bigot. You know what I'm saying? Be disrespectful, negative, have condescending remarks and actions and call people out of their names, just derogatory movement all the time. That's not white pride, man. Y'all get over yourselves if you think that's white pride. Anybody who think that's white pride, y'all get over yourselves, man. Y'all got problems. Y'all got mental problems. Y'all have mental issues. Y'all have mental health issues. Y'all got some kind of wire has been fried in your head. And that's why y'all moving with this guy Trump, man. That's why y'all moving with this guy Trump. And then on top of that, let's speak on all this stuff that just passed, because a lot of people are like, oh, the big beautiful bill. This bill is ugly. This bill is ugly, man. And you got so many people that's on Medicaid, Medicare that's finna suffer. You got rural hospitals that's finna go down. You got people that's on food stamps, food that's in the schools that's supposed to support children that's finna go. So don't play me with that mess. And you finna give tax breaks to the 1%. Y'all voted for that. That's not white pride. Y'all idiots. Y'all idiots. Y'all are unremarkably stupid. It's crazy. I don't get it. And then y'all had the nerve to jump on here and be all self-righteous. Oh, you're going to get yourself such and such. Some dude decided that he was going to get my video. He was going to jump on here and stitch my video talking about I'm going to be an individual that's going to be on a list because I'm coming against the government, or I'm coming against society, and I'm telling all black people to take the streets and be violent. Man, there was nothing that I said to say that. I said, you got to come to unity. We have to come to unity. That's what I said. And we got to prevent people from coming into our spaces, hanging, raping, beating our people, the people that we love and care about and cherish. Now, if that sounds crazy to you, then you just crazy. Who's going to let somebody just come into their community and just beat them up, beat their people up, beat the people they love and care about up? Who's going to let somebody just come?
Us as Latinos, I've noticed that we're willing to accept white people in our family, but not black people. Most of the time, we prefer white people over black people. Really, any other nation more than a black person. What I mean is, a mother's daughter has a white boyfriend, they would happily welcome him more than if she had a black boyfriend. Most of the time, there's a stereotype within the Hispanic household about black people, right? That they're criminals, they're gang members, they're violent, they're someone you should fear. When really, we should look at white people that way, because white people are the ones who actually are harming us right now. Yes, they're Hispanics who are in those ICE trucks, ICE vans, but they have been put in place by the oppressor. The same people who descend from the people who took your land, put your forefathers in slave ships, stole your identity, gave you the terms Latino, Hispanic. The people who descend from those people, they're oppressing you today. And their forefathers oppressed your forefathers back in the day. So what is my point? We need to deny any nation but our own. As Black, Latinos, and Natives, we are the same people. We should unite, we should come together, and we should marry one another. If your daughter wants to get with a so-called African American, of course, you want to make sure that he's a good fit. You should allow that. If your son wants to get with an African American sister, make sure she is fit and allow that. And same thing for so-called Black people. Same thing for your daughters and your sons who want to get with natives or so-called Hispanic. You should allow that, because that's going to make us unite. That's going to make us stronger. And people might say, well, Black people hate Hispanics. Hispanics hate Black people. Listen, the reason why we are hurting each other is because we're oppressed by the same person who's causing stress, who's causing chaos, who's causing poverty in our lives. And when we are going through stress and anger, we get violent. And who are we going to get violent with? The people who live among us. We live amongst each other. You understand? But the people who we should really be upset with, and who we should point the finger at, is our oppressor. And we should never point the finger at each other. We should come together, resolve our problems, get over grudges, get over division amongst each other, and really come together as a community, get off of drugs, go against drugs.
I love poor racist white people. Honestly, just thinking about them brings a smile to my face. Yes, yes, all of my problems stem from Black and brown people. Yes, yes, it has nothing to do with the system. It really does just go to show what being uneducated does to a person. Like, I know I wasn't the only one who learned about Bacon's rebellion in school. That rebellion was the reason that race as a construct became a thing in America. The whole reason being white even became a thing was solely to keep the poor Black man and the poor white man divided, so they never joined together and rebelled against the system. It's like poor white people were okay with being poor while watching their white wealthy counterparts have everything because, at least I'm not Black, right? And the fact that those same ideals remain true today is fucking comical. So I just wanted to give a round of applause to all of those people who are making sure that the system remains the same.
So check this out, man. During the Civil War, the fight to end slavery brought together soldiers who in many cases had never stood side by side before. Almost 200,000 Black men enlisted in the Union Army. Many of them were formerly enslaved. They fought not only for their freedom, but for the future of their families. But here's what's often left out. Thousands of white soldiers marched and fought beside them, believing in that very same cause. One particular story is that of the 54th Massachusetts Regiment that became legendary. It was made up of Black soldiers and white officers who risked everything together at Fort Wagner. Their courage inspired the North and showed what unity on the battlefield could actually achieve. In one of the nation's darkest times, love for freedom and justice united people who once lived worlds apart. That's the real story. Unity helped win America's greatest moral victory. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate the love. I appreciate the support. I appreciate y'all sharing, coming, and liking these videos, man. This your boy RDP. Be good to yourselves and be good to each other. I'll see y'all next time.
At the end of the day, here's what I've learned through all this back and forth when it comes to advocating for Africans and African culture and holding African Americans accountable for their hating ass energy they have for African people and their culture. To reaffirm my narrative that I'm advocating for all Black people to unite globally is that you simply cannot save somebody that doesn't want to be saved. You cannot save somebody that's too comfortable being damaged. And that's how I feel about African Americans at this point. It doesn't matter how logical you break it down for them. It doesn't matter how many times you reword it to say the exact same message, how many charts, numbers, and lived experiences you put on the table for them. Some folks are just simply beyond saving. I don't just talk to talk. I don't just argue to argue. I talk to enlighten and to teach and to wake people up. The African Americans at the forefront of this conversation don't want to learn, they don't want to be enlightened, and they for sure do not want to wake up. And that is completely and honestly fine where me and many other African Americans stand. So from here on out, I think it's best that we leave the FBAs alone and to stand alone and watch as they eat themselves alive while the rest of us come together and unite as black people globally.
The only thing that could unite the diaspora is a collective multiracial hatred of it. And I think that's exactly what we're experiencing. I think we as black people sometimes forget that the only thing that united this very diverse group of people from Western and Central Sub-Saharan Africa is the fact that another group collectively hated us and put us in the same place. Right now it's just pho, but I believe we will soon begin to see other minority groups begin to just let little shit slip out that is indicative of something a bit more sinister. And that is because with the results of this election, other minority groups are seeing the validation necessary to give them permission to view black people externally the way they always have internally. As easy as it would be to say fuck everybody who ain't black, there have always been and there always will be allies, but they are much more far and few between than motherfuckers think. As black people, I think we need to recognize that it is a relatively recent privilege to be able to separate ourselves as spiritual or religious or upper middle class or lower middle class. And as we go forward, these privileges will become more far and few between, for better or worse.
I am only concerned with black opinions on black issues. I don't give a damn about no white opinion on black issues. Why are y'all calling yourselves pro-black, but the only people you talk to about black issues is white folks? Why, whenever we talk about moving forward, the first thing y'all go do is start arguing with a bunch of white supremacists about what's going on in this community, about what we do and don't have, about the past, about anything? Stop. How about this? Try going radio silent on talking to any white supremacists, any racist, white folk in general. Go radio silent on talking to them about issues about this community as a whole. Try that. Because when we can get to a point where we can just confide in each other, where we can just depend on each other, where we can just start congregating in public and working with each other, putting money together, when we can start doing this without the contribution, without the 2 cents, without any involvement of any outsider, then we can start making progress. Then we can start making plans. Then things can start coming to fruition. But until then, what the hell's the goddamn point of saying anything? And please stop asking me the same questions over and over and over again. Why in the hell is it every time somebody starts on a pro-black journey, every time there's a pro-black potential leader in this community, y'all ask the same goddamn question every time, and it always gets answered, and y'all don't never answer the answer. Y'all ask, oh, well, what do we do now? What's the solution? What do we do now? What's the solution? I have over 1,000 videos telling you exactly what we need to do in damn near every video. Why are you still asking me what the solution is? Why are you still asking me what to do now? Every person that I know of has presented solutions, whether if it's Dr. Umar, whether if it's Rizza Islam, whether if it's Mark Lamont Hill, whether if it's any of the other laundry list of pro-black speakers that speak on these issues that we have. It's all been presented already. The problem is, you, us, we, black people, are scared of each other. The problem is that you, us, we, don't want to talk to each other. We don't want to let each other succeed. We don't want to work with each other. We don't want to put money together. We don't want to do anything other than talk. So if you want to do more than that...
Hello brothers and sisters, I really hope you're all doing fine from wherever you're watching me from now. We are seeing some number of white folks coming out to ask the black and the brown community for unity. Now, they are doing this not because they are willing to. Most of them are doing this because it is an obligation that comes with the hard economic times that you need to seek friends who can help you talk about the things that you feel are not being done okay. Now, the black community and the brown community have been calling out some of the majority in the US and across Europe to come out and help them speak about the oppression, the systematic racism, and so many other things that have always took place in the US. Now, let's be very sincere and honest in this case. Most of these people are not calling out the black community for unity because it is important, but they are calling out the black community and the brown community for unity because they need it at the moment. When the black community needed someone to come and help them talk about the injustices that were being committed against them in the neighborhoods or in the ghettos, no one ever showed up. In fact, some of them trolled the black community for coming out to express what was their freedom of speech. Now, the United States is a free country. You can say whatever you can say. It doesn't really matter unless you talk bad about the other or you violate someone else's rights because you're just speaking whatever you think is good. But when you're very keen and when you take every single matters into consideration, you're going to realize that most of them are concerned about the state in the US and across Europe just because the empires are now collapsing. They are concerned because of the economic decline and power shifts that are happening at the moment. And they now see the prophecies that one day these empires will collapse. And you can see right from the Middle East, you can see right from Europe, you can see in the US and so many other states that are dominated by the same people are having a problem. Some of them have had it very difficult to come out and join the black community in the struggle. And when the black community came out to express their frustrations with the systems that were very biased, because of the white privileges and because of the white supremacies that they had, they never saw it very important to join the black community in their struggle. In fact, most of them were against all these movements that were started by the black people, and they came out to actually show their frustration with these movements, and some of them termed them as unsafe. They termed them as movements which were created to terrorize and destroy and distract the peaceful cohesion in the US and across Europe. Now, we are experiencing something that is very crazy. Economic hardship in America, which has brought about inflation, job loss, debt, a rising cost of living, has hit so many white communities hard, especially those that once depended on traditional industries like manufacturing, farming, and so many other things. Apart from that, all these things that were happening and all these things that keep on happening, they happened and people had a good life because white supremacy still existed. They had a good life because white privileges still existed, that you didn't actually had to do so much to be in a good position. You only needed to come from a given community. And that is whatever has happened over the years. Meanwhile, Black Americans have shown growing economic resilience, creating businesses, investments, and thriving in entertainment, technology, and entrepreneurship over the years. You know why that is so? It is because they have grown to a very biased environment. They were brought in the neighborhoods that they were never wanted. And with this, they have been so resilient, and they have adapted to all these hardship that have been happening in the US. In fact, most of the people doubted if the life in the US was difficult. And they did that because they had some privileges that the black community never enjoyed. And when they have all these problems, and when they went to vote for a system which is now oppressing them with tariffs, job losses, and deportations, now, the same system they have always been praising over the years, the same system that oppressed the minorities in the US, has now turned against the same people who voted it in. This shows you something. Do you know when a kingdom or an empire is collapsing, everything looks bad, everything looks terrible. Even the same thing that you used to enjoy, you no longer enjoy it. And that's whatever is happening at the moment, brothers and sisters, that most of the people who enjoyed some of the things that were happening, they were enjoying deportations, right? Because deportations never affected them before. They were enjoying tariffs. They were enjoying so many other things because even if you are hit with tariffs, the government will just bail you out and you won't feel it. Now, the government is never bailing them out at the moment. The government has been silent on some of the major issues that are affecting people in the US. And that when that happens, the white privileges and those that people enjoyed or received without working hard for them are now gone. What happens in this case? Now, those who thrived during hard economic times will still thrive because this is not a difference with whatever has been happening for 400 years. So it is much okay, like it is normal for them, for the black community. And for those who have been enjoying the privileges over time, they are now seeing it very, very difficult because we are seeing a decline of white political and social dominance, something that really happened in the past, that the black community or the white community, has enjoyed a lot. This community has enjoyed political dominance, economic dominance, and social dominance. Never you forget, or unless you forget, that the US even went ahead to set so many diplomatic offices in the world to show their political dominance. They have been the people who have been deciding the way the world should be run. But we are coming in an era where so many other countries like China and Russia are taking its place. It no longer has the same powers it had. This means that the same citizens who enjoyed some privileges because their country was great or was making decisions, they were going to drop the privileges. They were going to drop the supremacy battles. You know, when your country is so much great and it dictates the way the world should run, the leadership of so many countries depended on whatever the US said. The economic growth of many countries depended on the dollar. But we are seeing in a power shift. Most people are not depending for Europe to do to them whatever they could have done to themselves long time ago. Most people were depending on whatever the European Union was going to decide about Asian continent, about South America, about the Caribbean and Africa. Now, we are having power shifts in that it is no longer the same. Many people can now decide for themselves, and this is affecting them. There is a time that China really depended on soybeans from the US. When Donald Trump came into office, he now hit them with tariffs, and this means they were going to buy the same soybeans at a higher price. Now, China opted to go to work with Brazil. The same way when we are seeing ice raids taking place in Hyundai farms and in Hyundai plants. Now, this means that Hyundai is going to avoid the US. And do you know how many people depend or how that is going to affect the US economically? This talks a lot. And I read an article And the article was talking about that every kingdom, when a kingdom is coming to an end, or when an empire is collapsing, everything good turns to be bad. And even the people cannot relate with whatever is happening in their own country. That's very true. Most of the people who voted for the same government, most of the people who live in Europe, cannot even see the good things that are being done by their governments to them. This means that all they see is bad, and that means their governments are doing worse than they think they're doing good to the people. Now, a kingdom is collapsing, an empire is collapsing in this case, and the people are reading in between, they are connecting the dots, and they know they need the black community like never before. They need other communities to survive. They need them to buy from their food stores. They need them to come out and issue their voice, or say something about the economy. Talk about the level of impunity that is being seen in most of these countries. But the black community is choosing to be silent. This might be one of the root causes of the American empire collapsing. The same to Europe. Watch out. This is the same empire that was built on slavery, the same empire that exploited Africa to achieve the greatness they have today. God is watching, and karma is always real. I've always believed in that someday you do something bad, it will catch up with you later. It is catching up with them, and they are not liking it. There are those who already knew this was coming, and they were prepared for this moment. They actually saw it earlier and started uniting with other communities to actually reduce the gap that is still existing between the white, brown, and the black communities. We needed that long time ago. We still need that. But are you doing it for the good of everyone, or are you doing it just because you need it? Go think about it. Thank you so much for having taken your time to watch this video, brothers and sisters. I really appreciate. If it's your first time on this channel, please consider subscribing, sharing, and commenting on this video. Thank you so much.